I'm back. Part of the fun of going live every day is figuring out how many different ways I can set up my background in this apartment space. I still think I have like 15 to 20 that I haven't explored, which is really exciting. And I was thinking about, oh, what is my topic going to be for this live? Um, and I sort of just like connected to God. And what dropped in is this phrase that I say to myself all of the time. And I read it in a book. I think it was one of the books channeled by Paul Selig in his I Am Word or I Am the Word series. And it's this phrase, you are in a field, right? So everything that you're experiencing is a vibrational match for the field that you are in, and that is where you are. And so if you want to have a different experience, if you want to think different thoughts, if you want to solve, the problem, the challenge that you're in, you want the solution, there's this idea that the solution to your problem isn't going to be found in the same frequency as your problem. And so I'll say to myself, you're in a field. Like I'll have some particular challenge I'm dealing with. And I'm like, okay, how am I going to figure out this thing? And I've got this call coming up, or like, I'm trying to grow my business in this way. And I'll have something like really specific I'm working on. Then I'll be like, girl, you're in a field. And I'm like, oh, oh. And then I remember all I need to do is essentially just raise my vibration, and it'll become very clear and obvious my next steps. Also, hi, person who just joined. Feel free to say hello in the comments. Once again, I have a call in 20 minutes. I find it really helpful to have a deadline at the end of my live because it just creates some structure. I think it creates some like beautiful, subtle urgency. And I'm like, all right, no matter what, we got about 20 or so minutes. We're going to hang out and then I'll be out of here. But yeah, so an example of my life recently is I have been going on this whole inner journey, this entire month of February. I've been hosting this Liberating the Money Shadow Intensive. And today is actually, the call I have is actually the last official call for the intensive. And then we're going to meet on the 1st to just do like, goodbyes, testimonials, sharing like all the money we made and all that good stuff, right? All the breakthroughs we've had. And all this month, knowing that I was staying here in this apartment, part of what I've been working through is, am I going to sort of settle for this apartment? Even though in a lot of ways it's awesome, but there are certain things that I would like for it to be better. Am I going to settle, or am I going to kind of do the inner work such that I become a vibrational match for a much nicer place? And so I've like really been like racking, just really into this kind of dilemma, this challenge. And about halfway through the month, I was like, I'm doing way too much processing. Like this is getting intense. And I know I'm doing too much processing when I start engaging in my coping mechanisms extra hard. So I don't smoke anymore, but now it'll be scrolling. Oh, the greatest love is here. Hi, been a long time. Do you have those songs that you say one or two words and it like automatically creates a song? For me, been a long time. I always think, shouldn't have left you. Now no need to step two. Tangent. One of mine is also question, tell me what you think about me. And then I saw this clip of Jay-Z talking about how he didn't like want love. This was like an old clip. He's like rapping. He's like, yeah, I don't want love. I just want to give you 60 seconds of, and then you can go like take it independent. But he didn't say, but out of here, question. And I was like, whoa. And I thought that was so wild because I'm like, I think y'all were together during that time, right? But you know what? When I'm on TikTok, sometimes I go down the like celebrity nonsense hole, and it's not supportive, and I should know better. And that is one of the things. So like when I'm doing a lot of scrolling, that's my sign that, okay, something is out of whack and you're needing to balance it or cope by sort of disengaging. And scrolling is such an amazing way to sort of passively be alive without having to really give anything or do anything of effort. And so when I notice myself doing a lot of scrolling, I'm like, okay, something's up. The greatest love is saying yes, always, especially with Timbaland. Yeah, I feel you on that. And so yeah, halfway point of the month, I was like, we're not doing this no more. We are chilling. And yesterday, I found myself meditating, and not meditating to go into process, which is normally why I meditate, but literally just like, I just want to sit here quietly and breathe, And as I was contemplating my relationship to, I know a lot of different tactics and tools to like increase my energy and bring like awesome stuff and experiences to me. And I'm kind of intentionally not doing that for these couple of weeks. And when I connected to the wisdom of not doing it, what came through was that in efforting to create my life, so not just connecting and allowing, but like pushing, efforting, forcing. This was my subtle way of saying, I don't really trust you, God. So I'm going to do a bunch of stuff on my end to manifest and create this amazing life because I don't really trust that I can just relax and sit back and allow all these blessings to come into my life. And so I realized it's not about, abdicating my duty to sort of do my inner work. It's about coming into right relation with, yeah, you get to receive blessings and you only will understand in your body. You'll only be able to embody that truth and then help other people embody that truth if you step back from doing the thing and you actually just let yourself receive all these blessings. And then you'll be like, oh, yeah, this makes sense. This feels really aligned. And so I'm continuing to practice that. And I think that's why I had such a sort of insight around all the apartment stuff, which was that it's not that serious. Like it actually doesn't matter as long as I'm in Mexico. And I don't know if this is necessarily true, but as long as I'm in Mexico, wherever I stay is going to be temporary. So I don't need to hold it. Like every space I lived, I put so much meaning on every like I I still think of my life as being a mirror of where I am and what's going on in my spirit. So whenever I'm in a place, I'm like, okay, what is this space telling me about my journey? And like I basically use it as a tool to do inner work versus, oh, this is just an apartment. Like some people don't care that much. And I know we all have our thing. We all have like, I think we have these certain movements in our life, like these certain themes that are really important. And so for some people, I'm like hearing someone outside of my window, but that's not my business. My favorite thing, my favorite thing, y'all, minding my business. Ooh. Ooh. I love to see something going on and be like, ooh, that is not my business. And keep on moving. The satisfaction. It's so sweet. Um, so yeah, I think we all have these themes. And I think for a while, mine has been around home and space and place. And it's because there was all of these, young feelings and intense feelings attached to it. There was so much meaning. And then I think because I gave myself time to integrate and I haven't just been in constant process, it's allowed me to kind of come up for air and look around and just be like, yeah, it's not that serious. Like it's just stuff. It's just stuff. It's just walls. You bring your light wherever you go. You bring your joy wherever you go. You have the capacity to make anywhere you go a beautiful place, and it's going to be for a month, maybe 3 months. And then you're kind of on to the next, right? And I'm like, oh, yeah. It's kind of like, I was thinking about some people are foodies, right? So they're really into food and cooking and meals, and they'll go to a certain restaurant, and it's like a whole thing. And that's really important to them, which is awesome and cool. And I can't really relate to that. So when I have a really good meal, I'm like, oh my gosh, what an amazing meal. And then I move on. My life moves on. Because guess what? We're going to be eating again in 4 or so hours. So I don't have the capacity to care about this thing. It doesn't have any heightened emotions attached to it. And so I realized whenever we're caught up in something, it's only because there's some heightened emotion. And my original idea for the title of this live was something like, once you remove your emotions, things become really easy. But I didn't want it to be from like the cynical place of once you like stop caring. I mean it in terms of like once things aren't charged, once you remove the charge from something, it is just going live on YouTube. It is just making a video or starting a channel, or it is just, doing a client call or writing your contract or moving into a new apartment or buying an air fryer or, growing out your hair. Like it doesn't mean anything more than that. And you're able to just be in your life and your life goes. I heard it described once where it was like when you start a spiritual journey, an apple is just an apple. And then you go on the whole journey and you're like, oh my gosh, the apple is the seed of life and the rain and the sun and the earth and the And then you go even further in your journey and you're like, this is an apple. And it goes right back to where it was. And I think with the apartment stuff, I'm now back to like, girl, it's an apartment. Why are you talking about this? Like, what's going on? Who cares? Literally move on. And that's where I'm at now, which is pretty amazing to consider that anything that used to be that for you right now is so heightened will one day, if you keep walking the path, will be like, oh yeah, you know? The greatest love is saying, you're so emotional today. You needed to catch this live. Yay! I really believe in the divine timing of who attends these lives, especially because like whatever you say will forever change, what actually happens in this container, which is really, really cool. So I think it's always beautiful who ends up showing up live. And it's also like I've been reflecting on the difference between making videos on YouTube and then going live on YouTube. And it feels more intense. It feels like, there's that phrase about like a mile wide, but an inch deep, And then there's the difference where it's like, I don't know what the alternate version of that phrase is, but the one where you go like very, very, very deep, but it's not such a big radius. And I feel like with going live, you have this really kind of intense energy, which, this is how it feels to me. Maybe y'all aren't feeling this energy. Also, hi, people who just joined. We've got about 5 to 8 minutes left. I've got a call at 1 Eastern. So we're gonna chat. Feel free to say hello in the chat if you want to, hear me say your name. I was listening to the song earlier, and someone said chimney, and I'm like, that's the closest I'm gonna hear to celebrities. Actually, I shouldn't speak that over my life. That's not true. I was gonna say that was the closest I'm gonna come to like hearing celebrities say my name because it's not such a common name. And I'm like, that's not true. Given the way I'm moving in this world, given my energy and my light, right? Given my just spirit, given my talent, it's kind of inevitable that I'll hear more people say the name Chimdi. So let me not count myself out. The greatest love is saying, this feels like a video, except we can actually converse with you in real time. Yes. My favorite thing about hopping on like coaching calls, especially with new clients, is there's a level of like stunned because they're like, oh, it's you. And I'm like, From the video, I really am this person. I for real am her. I exist. I'm walking around in the world right now. Like I'm not just on your screens. It's really fun. And I love it too, especially for supporting YouTube creators. So essentially, my coaching is to support people start and grow their YouTube channels. And what I've noticed is that a lot of the people lately are drawn to me because they have some kind of coaching or consulting business themselves. And so now it's kind of morphed into me supporting people who want to have a YouTube presence to grow their business. So it ends up being this business coaching as well, which I really like. I'm in the midst of figuring out how to talk about it and rebrand and update my website and all that kind of stuff too. But my favorite thing when I was working, and it still happens now, when I was working like exclusively with YouTube creators, people who wanted to be on YouTube, is that I get to witness them go on that journey of knowing they are a person in the world, and then they start making videos, and then it's like that dual perception, like you see yourself being seen, where you start to see people have like a lens that they're not ever seeing you anymore. They're seeing you through the video. And you start to notice that there's all of this information in between, and people are bringing that stuff to you, and they're also contextualizing you within the world of every other video you've made. And then you are like, I am a person. And then the person's like, it's not real anymore, which is so wild. Greatest Love is saying exactly like when I came in, I was like, well, I was going to lurk and get the wisdom that, hey, listen, it's more fun when you engage. It gives me something to bounce off of. And so I'm inviting the other lurkers. And again, it does take emotional energy and capacity to be alive. So even something as simple as like putting your name or saying hello into a chat and engaging, that is more active than chilling and being like, let me see what Chimdi up to while I clean my house. It's a totally different thing. And so truly there is no pressure because I know what it's like to want to just chill. But I also think there's something to the empowerment and like the knowledge of yourself, like the knowledge of your power, that like when it's online, there is more of an interest and a desire to be in the world. Like when you really notice that you said something or did something and then the world's a little bit different, it's very attractive for me. It's very attractive. It's very appealing. Though one of my clients told me there's like a chat GPT that's like an astrology chart GPT, and they told me they used it. And I was like, ooh, I'm not really into astrology, but I was like, let me see what the internet has to say about me. And so I was just kind of like asking it random questions, giving my, birth date and time and place and all these things. And nothing wowed me, but what it emphasized was like a lot of your life has to do with your career and being in the public eye and making this money and having this impact and having a lot of power. And I was like, yeah, yeah. And I think my favorite thing about astrology, like what I always get from it every time I engage with it, is just the realization that people are different. Like I was talking to also one of my clients, but she basically supports entrepreneurs to scale their business, and she does it with the support of astrology. So she was doing the strategy session with me, and she was kind of breaking down my chart and how it related to like different areas of my business. And again, I was just like shocked that other people, like she would say things like, so you, Chimdi, care about X, Y, or Z. Like you, Chimdi, have like, have really high standard and quality is really important to you. And I'm like, yeah, that's how, like, I was just like, that's how it's supposed to be. Like this idea of something being personal. I'm like, this is not personal. This is just how things are. And just the constant reminder that like, no, girl, that's not true. You have your lens that you're seeing the world through and everyone else has the same thing. I'm like, really? And it just, every time it surprises and it delights me. You're saying all facts. Listen, it's fun. I really do appreciate it. Okay, we're going to wrap it up. I've got 2 minutes. I'm going to get myself something to drink. But thanks for hanging out with me this Sunday. Or this Saturday. One thing I'm realizing is I always promote at the end of YouTube videos. And when I'm here on live, I'm like, okay, bye. And I'm like, let's see if we can be consistent about letting folks know that they can hang out with me like this Wednesdays at noon with Hello Creator. The Greatest Love is like, Sunday, where did it go? I'm also not sure if I'm going to go live on Sundays. I think that might be my Sabbath, my rest day. Thanks for having me. Thanks for being here. Thanks for bringing your energy. Yeah. So Hello Creator Wednesdays at noon. And then if you want some one-on-one time with me, you want support, growing your YouTube channel or growing your business, getting some clarity and alignment, getting some clients, then you can put some time on my calendar. It's chimdihazier.com. All right, I have 1 minute. I'm going to get myself something to drink and then hop on my Liberating the Money Shadow call. At some point, it'll be public, like available for other people to join, but not yet. Okay, bye.